All right, that's enough. You've already talked. It's fine. We're
We
transitioning.
got stuff to do, guys.
We do. We have stuff to do.
We have stuff to do. So on our 6-year anniversary, we're getting to the point, guys, where we don't have time to walk you through step by step how we got to today.
Yeah, we are no longer just a church plant. They consider us more planted. But what's really, really cool is that we also support church plants around the country that are churches that are starting just like ours, and you guys are a huge part of that. So we are now a planted church that is planting other churches, kingdom churches. So
we love it. And at year 6, what we've really started to notice that it's become less about where we've been and more about where we're going. And so today really isn't about the story of Tribe, it's about the story of you. And so we're going to be hearing from these 5 amazing communicators over the next several minutes.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
5 people for 5 minutes each.
We're going to do our
Or
best.
really? Won't he do it?
Won't he do it? Yeah.
Let's finish 5 minutes.
It's going to be a tight 5.
It's going to be tight 5. Tight 5 minutes.
Tight 5 minutes, yeah. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so, so good. We have our first person coming up here in just a minute. We met her in the most unique way I think I've ever met another person. And I think she's going to tell that story, so I don't want to step on that story.
Say, don't step on that story.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to my friend, Dora.
If I'm skipping around, it's because I can't see my words. Well, my story begins on November the 12th, 2022. It was a snowy Saturday afternoon, and my daughter-in-law Ashton and I were just standing out in the snow when we saw a car sitting out in front of our house, and there was a shady guy with a beanie on kind of looking at our house, and then there was a young lady with a beanie cap on coming up our driveway. So she comes up and she was kind of laughing, and she says, I know this is going to sound like a strange question, but could we take a picture of your home? And we're like, sure. Well, then she introduced herself and told us that they were from Tribe Church and that they were doing at home. Thank you. At the movies, and they were going to use our picture on the movie Home Alone. Well, I'm sure that you figured out the shady guy and the lady with the beanie was our pastors, Matt and Carrie. And that is how we were introduced to Tribe Church. Well, as soon as they left, I went to the internet and I started looking at Tribe Church, trying to figure out what they were all about. And then I just went to bed and I kind of turned it over to God. And I don't know what the church is really like. Should we go? I don't know. Well, the next morning I woke up and I said, okay, kids, get up. We're going to Tribe Church today. So, of course, I'm sure when we got here, it was very pleasant. People greeted us at the church, and then Carrie saw me. She came over and gave me a big hug. And to this day, I get a hug every Sunday by Carrie, and please don't stop doing that. I'm sure everybody appreciates Carrie's hugs. So that was our first Sunday here, November the 13th, the very next day. So after we met Carrie, we were introduced to several people. One of the first people I remember that I met is still a good friend of mine, Linda Bohannon, and her husband, Keith. A little later, through Linda, I met another good friend, yes, which is Beth. After the first service, I knew there was something different here. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I was anxious to find out. So I was anxious to be here the next Sunday and the next Sunday and the next. But for a while, I just kind of sat back and observed. And it didn't take long for me to realize that these people really were genuine at Tribe Church. And it became more and more evident as the weeks followed. And being a part of a good family, you want to serve. So I began serving. And did greeting at the front door, and then I went back to the coffee bar and served. And serving God is one of the ways that really uplifts my spirit because it gives me a sense of belonging. And Christ is a good example here at Tribe Church. It's a very good example to others when they come in, that we are working together for the glory of God. And I have personally been a recipient of some of the actions that stand behind the words that we say every time we close a service. Love is the best thing that we do. Well, being new to the Plainfield area, I had no idea who to call. And when we started to need some repairs made on our home, I was like, okay, now what am I going to do? So what do? Call Carrie. Well, she was always very gracious and answered all my questions and sent me to the right person. So first she introduced me to Joe Ray. Then Joe and Bo repaired an old in-ground hot tub that we were told could not be fixed. Then Joe helped my son Will with the koi pond, and he even rescued some of the koi fish. Carrie sent me to Jeff, who talked to me about an item that I had that Tribe Church maybe could use. And then Stephen looked at a couple wood tables in my house that we didn't know if we could even salvage. Then Joe gave me Juan's phone number, and Juan came to my house and installed the 220 plug. Then I was babysitting for Dolly, and I got really sick, and I thought, I'm going to have to go to the doctor's office. And my family was they were in Texas. So I'm like, what am I going to do? They said, I'm going to have to go to Danville to the emergency room. Well, what do? Yes, I called Carrie. Well, it was just a matter of minutes, and Patty was there. She had Bailey with her to watch Dolly. Off I go to the emergency room. And my sister comes from Shelbyville to pick us up, and everything was fine. But now I have a really great friend in Patty, too. One day, Peyton and Eli were playing in the upstairs bedroom. A great, big, giant, overstuffed unicorn knocked down a headboard that was laying on the side of the wall, blood everywhere. Eli has stitches, or got staples, on the top of his head. Well, it was no time at all that I heard from Jason. And Jason came over to visit Eli, and he was bearing a bag of his favorite snacks. So then Bo came over, and he brought Travis to my house. Carried the recliner from the garage into my bedroom because I was going to have ankle surgery, and that way I could keep my leg elevated. Fonda, Christy, and several other ladies I have noticed that they talked to Peyton and listened to her incessant talking and her stories that she just loves to tell. Well, Tribe Church is a community of believers that give back to others and to help others when they know that they're in need. And giving because they want to, not because they have to. Tribe Church shows us that and teaches us to be more Christ-like. And they also say, loved people loves people. Love people. Yeah. And now we have Tribe Church Queenagers. I don't know who came up with that idea, but thank you. I just thought that was the coolest thing. A wonderful opportunity for the young at heart to get together, to share time, to share prayer requests, and discuss ways that we, as the older, mature women, can maybe help the other people in the church. We did provide breakfast for the ladies' conference, but we also discussed ways that we could help the younger ladies in the church. Well, I kind of put that on the back burner in my brain because I couldn't think of anything I could do. But I did finally come up where I found out Bo and Morgan were buying a house. I had some home items at my home, and so I talked to Morgan. She came over, went through some items, and I got to know Morgan. She's a delightful young lady. I hadn't really talked to her before, but it gave me an opportunity to feel like I was giving back at that point in time. Well, now I know there is something different and something special about Christ Church, Tribe Church, because personally, I have been changed. I have a much deeper understanding of the meaning of living your life to become more Christ-like. I personally have had burdens lifted off of my shoulders that I carried for way too long. But were those burdens from listening to someone who told me, and I believed them. Were they just man-made things? Instead of me listening to God and really searching out those answers, I personally have received blessings from the sermons that have been preached here at Tribe Church. I just feel very blessed to be here, to know the people at Tribe Church, and feel so blessed to have leadership such as Matt and Perry Dilley. They have just meant so much to me, and all the people that I continue to meet here just touch my heart, the music, the sermons, everything. But this is just the beginning of my list as to why I continue coming to Tribe Church, which is what I now call my church. Thank you.
Dora, I think you're the first person who brought equipment with them. Yeah. No, she's not the first person to call me shady, I'll be honest.
That's true too.
I'll be honest.
That's true too.
Yeah, right, yeah. First person today, for sure.
Well, thank you, Dora. That was absolutely lovely. And I'm so excited for our next person that we're going to get to hear from today. Our friend Kobe has not been part of Tribe for very long, but man, like we came back from sabbatical and we were like, who are these people? And they're like, you don't know Kobe and Chloe yet? Like, what are you doing with your life? And truly, what were we doing with our lives? Because they're awesome.
Yeah.
And we love them so much.
We do. So please welcome Kobe Nix.
I'm just going to start this off. If you know me, I have a really bad habit of cussing and not even realizing it. So at the top of this, in big, bold letters, I have, do not cuss. So my name's Kobe Nix. I'm 23. My wife and I have been coming here since roughly the beginning of the year. Last Labor Day, I took a trip to Arizona. I was going to pick up a couple horses. It was going to be my first horse. We got down there. It was supposed to be a weekend trip, which was a long weekend trip because it's like 27 hours to Buckeye, and then we were going to turn around and drive right back. It turned from a weekend trip into like a 6 or 7 day nightmare of a trip where I broke my phone, didn't have my wallet, didn't have my ID. It was Labor Day weekend, so I couldn't get any of that stuff. Had no way of talking to my wife and telling her what was going on. I mean, I was like without hope in like the worst possible situation in the middle of the desert. We were in Buckeye, which I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's not even water. Like they have to run water in for the city. So that being said, we had broken the trailer had broken when we got down to Arizona, and like we just absolutely had like nowhere to go to, nobody for help, like did not know anybody. So I just then for the first time in like I can't tell you how many years. I grew up Catholic, but I kind of fell out of faith. Said a prayer, an intentional prayer to God, and asked for help. And like not even 30 minutes later, some old guy pulled up and was like, "You boys look like you need help." And I was like, yeah, absolutely we do. And he got our trailer fixed and got us back on the road and got us home. That was really powerful. So when I got home, I talked to Chloe and I was like, it's time for us to go back to church. And she was already on the same boat that I was. And we knew Amanda, and Amanda had already told us about Matt and Carrie in the past. And we had just gone out to dinner with her one night and kind of told her that story. And she said to come try it. They obviously weren't here yet, but we still fell in love with Tribe. So not long after we started coming to Tribe, we started going to young adults group, which was really great for us because neither one of us went to college. So all of our friends are a lot older than us because that's just who we're around all the time. So it was nice to meet people in the same walk of life and like stage of life as we are, because that's pretty hard to find when you're in our position. Since group was at Matt and Carrie's, just in passing, we had mentioned premarital coaching, not counseling. And they just took us on full swing and didn't even think twice about it. They even went as far to give us 2 seats to the marriage council that Jason and Lisa put on at the beginning of the year, even though we weren't even married yet. They were both super, super helpful in setting us up for success and learn how to communicate with each other better and just be the best person we could be for each other. And I'm super, super, could not be more grateful for that. Now that we've been at Tribe for the better part of a year, Matt and Carrie and Chloe and I have become super, super close to the point where I'd call them really close friends of mine. They really do God's work all the time, not just on stage or through Tribe, but in their personal lives as well. Chloe and I really could not be more grateful that the people that they are and started the church that we now call home. Tribe has shown me that God has a plan for all of us, and when you stop and allow Him to work through you, you're really capable of great things that you didn't really know you could accomplish. I've grown immensely closer to God since I've been here. Like I said, I grew up Catholic and not really understanding that just because that's what I was in. So finding this place and finding like a real life, put it to work in your daily life, church, I guess is the best way I could describe it. I've grown super, super close to God and a lot closer than I ever have been. He truly is the guiding light that's always there when you need it. I've learned to forgive myself. I've learned that perfection is overrated and impossible for a human, and that He's already paid my debts and set me free. I'm sure you've also seen me up here on stage trying to fill Matthew's shoes. It's always been a dream of mine to play on stage, and now I get to do that and praise God at the same time. So I'd like to thank Fonda for giving me that opportunity and going out of her way to give me all the help that she can so I can be successful up here for you guys. Since getting up here on stage and playing guitar, I've got to meet a lot more of you that I wouldn't have been able to meet otherwise. That's been awesome. And as time passes, I hope I get the chance to meet the rest of you all. Everyone I've met has been great people. Those of you I haven't met, I know you are great people because you're here at the greatest church ever. Thank you.
It's one of the few people I'll allow country music be played for here in this service. You did not
didn't
cuss.
cuss.
Congratulations. Woo! I'm not going to say I wasn't sweating it.
I meant to say earlier, Kobe also represents Tribe's first cowboy hat on the platform. So, you hear all that applause?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well, when we first started making a list for the people that would be presenting today with the leadership team and with the staff, I think the first name that was said both times was the people that you're going to get to hear from next. They have a really cool story. I love them so much. And it's just awesome to get to watch them parent their children and be a couple and be a family. And like, I just love them. And so please welcome, I can't even say it, Dill. Jeremy and Natasha Oliver.
Well, dang it. I said I was going to get up here and not cry. Oh, but there goes Carrie making me cry. Thanks. Yeah, so we're probably better known as the couple you see wrangling 7 kids through here every day or every Sunday in the madness. So around 7 years ago, we made the decision to get back into church. And although we were both raised in church, when we were younger, we stepped away and felt we were fine without going. One day, our daughter McKenna asked us why we didn't go to church and would like to learn about God. And we said, okay, we hear you. We're going to go and give it a try. So we had started at a church we found local. And before we knew it, we were serving and pursuing Jesus as a family. And our kids were dedicated there. We were baptized there. Kenna was baptized at the church, and it held so many special memories for us. About 2 years ago, we had an experience there that shook our faith in that same church, and it left us feeling depleted. And the one place we should have felt happy, in God's presence, we just felt defeat. We spent the next year trying to figure out where to go from here. Too afraid to leave because we didn't want to become complacent as a family and not go back to church and drift away from Jesus. But feeling out of place and hurt every week walking through those doors. We spent a year praying hard to the Lord. Do we stay? Do we leave? Is this a test? Prayers were met with silence. But we kept showing up. We kept serving. And then one day we were given the message that it was time to move on. What we didn't realize, though, was the silence. It was more of a wait on God's timing. Proverbs 3 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways to submit to him, and he will make your path straight. And just as promised in that verse, God made our path straight to Tribe Church. In March of 2023, we knew it was time to leave our current church and look for a fresh start. And we visited some pretty great churches, but they didn't really feel like home. Then one day, as I'm sitting in the drop-off line at the middle school, I saw a sticker on the back of a truck who I now know belongs to Pastor Jeff. I texted Jeremy and said, hey, we should try this church, and we visited the same week. And from that moment we walked in the door, we felt love, and every day we walked through this door, we have felt that same love. Shortly after attending, Tribe Pastor Matt and Pastor Carrie invited us out for coffee, and that moment really solidified for us that we had made the right decision. That small gesture made us feel so seen and welcome. They are truly genuine in their love for people in Jesus, and they've listened to us. They told us about their past hurt, and their passion for Jesus is truly contagious.
That's going to be tough to follow. All right, so I'm Jeremy. Leaving off where we're starting where she left off. We had discussed numerous times how lucky we are to have a church that is led by people who understand the Bible, that can decipher the Scripture, and that can speak the truth about what that Scripture means. You don't get that everywhere. Over the past year, we've grown to love Tribe and the Tribe family. We joined our first Tribe group. If you haven't joined one, we highly suggest it. Maria and Joe were gracious to host our group, and it was a great way to make connections with others and really dig into the sermons. We have also started to create new memories. Just this past year, 4 of our kids got baptized. We attended our first marriage conference and had a great time doing it. We watched 4 of our older kids become more involved in the youth ministry. Tribe really is just that, just a tribe of people who love and want everyone to know Jesus and his love. There have been so many people at this church that have touched our hearts in one way or another. Linda and Keith Bohannon, you are such an inspiration. We love the way you both go out of your way to make our kids feel special, and we know they all love the candy they get from you guys every Sunday. Jason and Lisa, you guys, you both have been so welcoming, have went above and beyond to make sure that we have felt seen and appreciated, and your friendship is simply a treasure to us. Cam Hill, who came over and went out of her way to help us set up for our kids' adoption party not long after we met her. Just the community that is involved in this church has just blown our minds and reinstilled our faith in humanity. There are so many other things and people we can mention. More than 5 minutes of talking about the wonderful people that we have met here. Every Sunday, when we pull into the parking lot of Tribe, we look forward to the smiling faces, the donuts, the movie questions we don't know half the time because we're not movie people, and the laughing a minimum of 5 times every sermon. Thank you, Tribe, for healing these 2 hearts and for being a safe place to come to know Jesus and to find true love, and that we hear so often about in the Bible. No matter the week we've had, we know come Sunday, we will be met with love and smiles, and we can get to be a part of a Tribe Church, and now can share the love that we have been given from you guys.
I feel like that just proves bumper stickers work. Phew. Man, I'm putting them on every car if we can get more families like the Oliver. I'm just saying.
So when I'm not gonna make it. Every year, for the last several years, when we're planning the 5 for 5, I feel like the leadership team is like, it's got to be somebody out of this group. Like last year, they were like, we really on the 5-year want to hear from someone from the founding team. And this year, they were like, we really want to hear from a teenager. And so
You started it, you got to finish. You started, you got to finish.
it's been a joy to watch this young woman grow up. And I would love to introduce you to Miss Sayla Ray.
Wow, there are a lot of you. That's that's really great. I'm so happy that there are a lot of you. That's fantastic. Wow. Okay. Okay. Hi guys. I'm Sayla Ray. I am the eldest daughter of one of the 4 founding families, the Ray family, and I've been here for a long time, obviously. But this is my first time actually speaking on stage. I've done announcements before, but this is a new experience. So, yay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. When Carrie asked me to speak in the 5 for 5 this year, I instantly said yes. I always would have said yes, no matter the circumstance. That's just the kind of person I am. I can't say no. But also, I really do want to do this. But I'm glad she asked this year because this is my last year living at home. Okay, to follow that up with some better news, on Tuesday, I got admitted to Ball State University. So, yeah. It's weird. I'm sure every young person in this room can relate. It is weird to think about growing up and moving out. Chirp, chirp. Yeah, it's weird to think about growing up and moving out. I mean, my whole life has been with my family, obviously, but also with Tribe Church. And I really think that it was crucial to me during my developmental years because, I've known Tribe Church for longer than I haven't known them, actually. To actually start now, I would first like to thank my little brother Sawyer for having serious attachment issues as a child. He refused to stay in the nursery as a little 2-year-old at our past church, so my mom often spent the services walking around in the lobby with him, watching him toddle around and knock things over, as toddlers do. But had he not been toddling around in the lobby one day and my mom just following him around, maybe my mom wouldn't have met Matt Dilley. And had they not met, maybe the founding families never would have been friends. And had that not happened, maybe Tribe Church never would have been. Thank you, Sawyer. Yes, I don't know where you are. Raise your hand. Love you, bub. All right. We always say that love people, but I think I've really felt that ideology as I grew up. If you were around since the start, you know that Tribe Church is actually turning 7 and not 6. I know, big secret. Shh, shh, shh. Yeah, we're actually turning 7. There was a year of planning and gatherings and all sort of things before we actually did the church launch. And I'm 17. Most of my conscious life has been spent knowing Tribe Church. I say conscious life because, let's be honest, does anyone even really remember anything before the age of 4? No? Yeah, conscious life. I have a brain now. So, yeah. I've always been loved by loved people, and it saddens me that the majority of children don't get that kind of experience growing up. Not many people were as lucky as I was to be surrounded by this group of people. That's not to say I don't have struggles, though. Doesn't everyone? Growing up is hard, and I have my own set of problems, just like everyone here has their own set of problems. You never know what someone is quietly fighting. If you are one of my friends, though, you will know what I'm fighting. I like to talk a lot. But all of those awkward years, though, the uncomfortable, the strange years that drag on, those years have always been accompanied by a loving and supportive community that I could lean on, and I hope that the youth at Tribe Church feel the same way as I do about that. I know that I can always go to Matt and Carrie. I know that I can always go to Jason and Lisa. Any of the other families here that they love you so much, really. The greatest piece of advice I can give to young people here is that you are not alone. I know it sounds corny and overused, and you're like, yes, I know, I'm not alone, whatever, but it's true. And I didn't believe it at the beginning of my teen years either. They were like, you can always come to us, and I was like, yeah, sure, Mom, whatever. It's not a phase, it's who I really am, It's okay, though. It really was a phase, actually. It actually was a phase. She's right, guys. Your mom is usually right about those things, I promise. Yeah, I love my mom. Okay, 56 seconds, guys. I'm doing great. I also love my mom. Hi, Mom. Yeah. Everyone here loves you. No one's going to shame you for not being okay, especially God. God will not shame you for not being okay. The people at Tribe taught me that, and I am so grateful for their love and guidance, and I hope everyone here can find a similar comfort in this community. I really am so grateful that I got to grow up this way, and I can't imagine leaving Tribe, but, soon I am going to have to imagine that, and it's a little bit sad. So I'm glad I got to speak today and share my experience with you guys. You want this? Yeah.
I'm fine.
That's hard. You were really good.
Chirp, chirp. We're Ball
Really?
State grads, so just saying.
Yeah, it's just when you talk about when we talked about starting a church, it's like we wanted it for the next generation, and to see that, it's powerful. So that's what we're building here, something that outlasts us.
Amen.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's great. It's great.
You could keep talking. I'm done.
Okay. So this is a first for the 5 for 5, what we're about to do. We've never asked someone to come back and do a second 5 for 5. But 2 years ago, we almost lost our Corey. And I just remember, I don't know that I've ever prayed so intensely. And we just didn't know what was going to happen. And so even though he had a big story 2 years ago, I think he's got an even bigger one now. So please welcome Corey Shaw.
That was a terrible song. I don't know what that was. All right, so I have 5 minutes to share my whole life, which by my math breaks down to 9 years a minute, so let's get started. I'm kidding, of course. There's no way I'm doing this in less than 8. Apparently, like Carrie said, I'm the first to have a second chance at a 5 for 5. As many of you may recall, and from the audio there, I shared a little bit a couple years ago. So I'd like to start by thanking Matt and Carrie and the leadership team for giving me this honor twice. It is an unusual choice, and I assume it is the unusual circumstances I went through the past 2 years that have influenced that decision. So, for those who don't know, 2 years ago, this coming October, I found myself suddenly rushing to the hospital because I was losing blood in a very undignified manner. We'll just use the mechanical term and say it was coming out of my oil plug. So, right. Funny now, not funny then, but whatever. So we rushed to the ER to learn that a hole had opened in my large intestine. I was given drugs that had a 90% chance of fixing that, but they only worked for a little while. and then the bleeding started again. I was rushed into emergency surgery. I remember the chaos as nurses were literally running back and forth in shifts to get blood to replenish what was now a constant loss that felt like it was coming out every 20 seconds or so. That was when I knew that I was about to die. I'm not talking about a close call kind of fear or a panicked reaction to a life-threatening event. I meant my body knew it was going to die. My body, you can feel it, not as a thought, but as an inevitability. My body knew, but my mind still reacted in absolute shock and denial. No way can this be how I die. Are you serious? I don't believe it. I won't let this happen. There we go. As everything began to fade away, I spouted every reason this couldn't happen to me. I frantically prayed and resisted and fought, and then everything went black. I was still conscious, but I was in darkness. And I was forced to accept the realization that, yes, I am dying from this. I am, in fact, dead. The delusion of control evaporated. There was only acceptance. And then I prayed the most genuine prayer I've ever prayed. God, if this is really it, I'm okay with that. You're in control, not me, obviously. I know Christy and the kids will be okay, and that you're in control of them too. But God, if you're willing, I would love to grow old with Christy. I would love to see my kids grow up, please. And then snap, my consciousness was gone. I woke up 6 days later to my wife's beautiful face. They told me they could not find the hole, and that to save my life, they had to take the entire large intestine. I would now be using an ostomy bag attached to my stomach to go to the bathroom, and I had an 8-inch long open hole in my abdomen that would require wound care. But I was alive. Good deal. So I could stop there and give a great hang in there kitty aphorism of how good God is and what a miracle and leave it at that. But that would be a dishonest statement because it didn't end there. Life did not go back to normal. I spent 16 days in the hospital going from moments of joy when visitors came, thank you everyone, to moments of boredom during the long hours, to moments of absolute humility when someone had to help me walk or go to the bathroom, to moments of loneliness when everyone was gone, to moments of absolutely traumatic pain every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that haunt me to this day from the wound care that I had to endure. And after these physical battles came the mental ones. Outside of the hospital, I dealt with depression and anxiety and the whole gamut. Happy endings are always a construction to hide these real-life truths that life goes on, good or bad. But I would like to share some things I learned through this experience. Number one, you can't avoid suffering, so maybe you should accept it. Richard Rohr said, there are two ways to grow closer to God, love and suffering, and that we are all pretty inadequate when it comes to love. If I look back at my life, the times I have grown closest to God have been in the times I needed him, the times of suffering. We like to take the credit for the good times and pass the blame for the bad, but blessings are not always in the shape of gifts. Sometimes they are the reward of the difficult experiences. And I promise you the value of growing closer to God is immensely greater than the value of whatever you think you may be losing during your suffering. Number two, stop categorizing each moment as good or bad. While this was the worst thing that has ever happened to me, hands down, it was also so full of some of the most beautiful moments I've ever experienced. When we categorize every day or moment or event as good or bad, we tend to gloss over all the things we can glean from it. We write off the bad things and lose the lessons or fail to see the steadfastness of God, or we glamorize the good things and lose the humility that comes with recognizing that things do not always turn out this way. And number three is let pain stay. When it comes to physical injury, we are usually so good at listening to pain. We know an untended wound can get infected and cause major issues, so we respond with compassion and care. But our mental pains are often things we try to ignore or cover up. Just don't think about it. Maybe it will go away. Stop being negative. But if we can just pause and tell that pain to stay and listen to what it is trying to tell us, we can respond to ourselves with compassion and care. That pain instead becomes a guide to the parts of ourselves that need the most work. And I promise you, you cannot truly grow until you can recognize those parts. I know this is all a bit dark, but I have learned to let go of the fantasy of happy endings and to accept I will not understand why things happen the way they do. I know there are several hundred reasons we could all invent right now for why this happened to me, but fair warning, if you come up to me and say the reason I went through all this pain and hardship was so I could speak about it for 5+ minutes to a relatively small room of people, I will smile and nod, but inside I will be telling you to stick that up your oil plug. It is true. So I will end the world's most depressing testimony by leaving you with this. I recently read a book about trauma and grief called A Heart That Works that beautifully put into words what I have struggled to describe. The author said that he sees all emotions as colors in a rainbow. It doesn't really matter what color matches up to which emotion, just that you can experience them all at different times, and that is your spectrum. But after a truly traumatic experience, there's now black in my rainbow. I still experience every other color like I did before, but black is always there. Sometimes a thin outline, sometimes a bold one. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. I know this is reality, and while it destroys my fantasy of happy endings and bad things don't happen to good people and all the other things I used to secretly believe, it grounds me in humble faith that needs God all the more. So, one day I was praying and lamenting and trying to understand everything I went through, documenting the pain and suffering one by one, and I heard God whisper, I know, I was there. That day I stumbled onto a breath prayer that has become integral to me in my blacker moments, and I thought it would be nice to end with that together. So the prayer goes like this, as Jason taught us. The breath prayer is you breathe in and you say, God, you are here, and that is enough. Will you just do that with me a few times? In. God, you are here, and that is enough. Again. God, you are here, and that is enough. Just one more time. God, you are here, and that is enough.